Welcome back to Once Driven Forever Smitten. Something a little bit different today. I'm getting the Iveco Daily recovery truck fired up and going to pick up a Mk2 Astra convertible shell and a whole load of bits. I don't actually want the convertible shell, I just want all the 2 litre fuel injection setup, which might come in handy. It's local and the guy's wanting rid of it, so you never know, could come in handy. A Bellman on a little carburetor Astra might come up at some point. But also I need to move a Mk2 Astra, which I'll explain now. Right, that sitting there is Kenzo's Mk2 Astra GTE 16 valve, which he's left at my house for a week, having been told to move it more than once. He's too lazy to walk the 1/4 of a mile to come down and get it, so I'm going to put it in the back of the recovery truck and return it to his parents' house. So it could be really funny if he turns up here in his van and discovers it's not sitting there. So we'll see what happens. Right, here we go. I've owned the truck since 2011. Had it for a long time and it's been parked up for a bit with lockdown and whatnot. Now, I charged the battery last night, so with any luck we're going to fire up. Get in, way! They're fantastic, these old 2.8 engines. And this is a bit heavier duty than your normal 3.5 tonne recovery truck. This is a 4.6 tonner, which is actually plated to 5.2. It's also got the hardest suspension of any vehicle I've ever driven. And I do feel bad about having it left parked up for such a long time, but that's just the way life has been this year, 2020. It should have been back in the road properly by now, but we'll get to that next. So, one Mk2 Astra to move and then another one to collect. The easiest way to line this up. Better check the winch is still working, it's been a while. A little bit of downward that way. Perfect. Right, let's go and get this Astra GTE convertible. Now that we've given the recovery truck a test run with the Astra GTE, which Kenzo now says he's coming round to get this afternoon, so if he comes round and sees that it's not there, that could be quite funny. But then he would also notice that the recovery truck wouldn't be there either, so whether or not he puts 2 and 2 together depends on the panic phone call I get. Why, this is a 2000 Iveco Daily. It used to be a plumb centred box van. I bought it in... no, that's just a side repeater connection making that funny noise. I bought it in 2011 with redundancy money for when I worked in Total Vauxhall. And it's never let us down over the years. Now, having said that, I have neglected it and left it parked up, but I forgot how much work I'd actually done on the thing. before I did park it up, but it's got all new discs and pads on it front to back. It's got 6 new tyres on it. It had new springs on the back of it a couple of years before that. I've just done the timing belt and water pump on it. Just got the wheel alignment done, and it's driving the best it ever has. If the camera is shaking a bit there, it's because it's just, the ride quality is like concrete on it. It's a fair bit more heavy duty than a 3.5 ton Transit. It's actually driving really nicely. It's designed to run with a speed limiter on it, even though it came in just before that was mandatory, because it's a 4.6 tonner, so it's geared down to do like 56 mile an hour, 90 kilometres an hour. So it's not the fastest thing, but it has got a 6-speed gearbox, so it's got really good pulling power. It doesn't make any difference to the fuel economy whether you've got a car on the back or not, it just does 25 miles a gallon. So we'll see, maybe somebody will be interested in buying it, but you can't drive it on a car licence, so I don't know if that limits its appeal, along with the fact you've got to take it to the DVSA for an MOT, which means you're getting absolutely no favours. And when you see the state of some of the old recovery trucks on the road, well, I don't think many of them would be getting a pass from the DVSA. Here we go, Astra GTE convertible 2 litre and a whole big pile of bits to go with it, which I'm sure we can do something interesting with. It's been well stripped out, so everything off it will go to give something else a new lease of life. It would be especially good if it was an estate or a bailment or an Astra van, so we shall see. So just waiting to get the tyre pumped up for the other side, and then we'll go and drag it out and put it in the back of the truck. So first job is unseize the back brake drums. The handbrake's not on, we've discovered, so that's good. This needs a bit of battering. There we go, a bit of minor hammer based persuasion, that's one done. Just go right forward. Keep going forward. I can give it a wee bit there on the back end. That's space for you. Ah, we should get it for there. Get it on the winch. That'll go and fine at that. Spot on. Drive shaft 1. Drive shaft 2. But anyway, just fire them in the car.
In the back or front?
Just doesn't really matter. Gear lever. Oil collar. Unusual good, this one's the other. Oh, steering pipes. Wonder if they'd fit my GSI. Was he used in one of these European rallies or something? It caught and stiffens. Nah. Is that one? Anybody recognise the reg? K72XJH. Looks like it's done a European rally of some sort, maybe. Right, well that's us. We'll have to do a couple of runs, but we've managed to fill the Astra quite nicely up with stuff. I hope this isn't you're hitting the rollover hoop's got to hold that. That'll be fine. If any bits go flying out it going down the road, I can pick them up when I come back for the engine. Right, I'm going winch it on now. Right, well that's the Astra pretty much winched on. Just give it another bit more, and then we'll go and drive outside and get it strapped up. Ourselves an Astra GTE convertible. Oh, a big pile of bits that used to be an Astra GTE convertible. The plan's not to put it back together. I'm only buying it because it's got a lot of useful fuel injected bits on it. I don't know if some of the bits on it would be useful to somebody who's got an Astra convertible. By all means let me know. But the 2 litre 8 valve engine and all the fuel injection stuff like the tank, that could come in really handy if we happen to find an OAP's Belmont or an Astra van or something like that in the future. So that's why I'm having it. I'll be getting weighed in on Monday morning once I've stripped the steering rack off it. Possibly the back axle, which Kenzo wants, because he's obsessed about the fact his GTE has a dodgy back axle on it, which I'm not sure about myself. He phoned me to try and find out about his GTE. He says, I think somebody stole it, but unfortunately he pretty quickly got into the fact that I'd moved it and that I've got a spare key, but I've also told him he's not getting his spare key back if he tries any of that again. So I think these dailies are great old things to drive. Very tough as well. This is a 2.8 turbo diesel, and that was the one I was recommended to buy because I could have gone for the newer 2.3 or 3 litre. But they just seem to run on forever. It's got 253,000 kilometres on the clock, which is really nothing to one of these. I've also realised as well it's now badly in need of some windscreen wipers. They're not clearing the screen very well at all. That's a great old thing being so short geared. That's us up into 6th gear at 30 miles an hour. So like I say, its cruising speed is 90 kilometres an hour. You can take it up to 100 and I think it'll do like maybe just over 70 flat out. But it just gets really heavy on the diesel, so you're as well just sitting around about the 90 mark, which is 3,000 RPM in the top of the green band. Let's go and deposit this back in the driveway. Expertly. beautiful. Shane, did you just break that fence? Have you just knocked that fence over?
No, just fixed it.
Did you now?
I've got my thick coat.
Right, like I said, part 2. Going for the Omega with all the other bits of this Astra. Because there's a whole load of stuff that we don't even want, but the deal is you've got to take everything. So, I've picked up Kenzo along the way, who's made an appearance finally. Can you see that flash now or not? It's hard to see. 20, you boot. I'm 30 would have done.
There's no for it. But anyway.
That fits quite nicely in there. Right. See how much stuff we can fit in the boot of this. There we go, one carefully packed Omega estate. This isn't all going to fall out when I get down the unit. But it'll no matter. All we've got left to take, we've got an exhaust system, a bonnet, and a lovely 2 litre 8 valve engine and F16 gearbox, and then we're done. So I'll probably do that tomorrow. Right, awesome. Get us back down the road. So what we're doing now is sorting through everything that's come out the GTE to go down the unit, pin it in the back of Kenzo's van, and then that'll leave us just some easy things to strip off it on Monday. There's also everything, I'll take the clutch pedal out as well, because that would be everything there to convert an automatic to a manual. So just making my way down to the unit in the Cavalier. Kenzo should already be here in the van, emptying the stuff out, which he is, so that's good. I'm going to have to try and find a space for all this extra Astra stuff, because we really do need to tidy out the other side of the unit, which I will show you at some point. Oh, it's been raining, it's really wet here. Right, let's go and find a decent spot for all this stuff. Hard at work already?
Yeah.
Well, I like to see.
Right out, we'll put it right in for you.
It's alright. I'm going to find a space, because I went and bought this Cavalier SRi interior to get a driver's seat for the blue Cavalier. Of course, we'll probably end up selling the rest of that because I don't really need it, but in the meantime, we're going to have to go and clear a space. Rear springs for a GTE, I don't know if it would make a car sit like. Right. Experiment and see what it would do.
Yeah.
This radiator, I don't know if that metal fan's smaller than the Cavalier, but that metal fan might fit your Cavalier. I don't know. An investigation. Right. Oh, I've now got a mountain of interior. But see this, I know that this needs a good clean, but if you've got a Mk3 Cavalier SRi, an early one, and your seat's got cigarette burns or whatever in it, then the material from that would be ideal for replacing it. So we've got them there that we would sell on, no problem. And the same goes for this driver's seat's completely knackered, but I could get that repaired. And as mentioned, the passenger seat, because the turning wheel to adjust them is on the opposite side on a Mark II Astra, that passenger seat would make a good driver's seat for a Cavalier SRi. So hopefully all that can go to use to somebody and they can buy it off us. Same nice door cards as well, but they're kind of very specific to the Astra convertible. Anyway, not a bad day's work.
Excellent.
That was a productive Saturday. Here's the Nova. He's still not painted the subframe, so that's your job for the night. That subframe over there, which is off a Nova GTE, needs to get painted so we can get that fitted, and then basically a bit of plumbing and wiring, get the fuel tank in it, and we should be running 1600 injection power before too long. Aye. And then once it's off the ramp, we can get on with this, because my son arrived for it in the post the other day as well. We can get this out. Right, that's enough for Saturday. Jump cut to Sunday. Jump now, Sunday afternoon. Too lazy to get started on Sunday morning. Quite a bit to drink last night, so better to sober up first. Gonna go and move the Mark II Astra convertible shed off the back to go and slacken all the various bits off it, so when it goes into the scrappies to get weighed in, we can just take the back axle off it easily, and the front struts, stuff like that, because he's desperate to have the back axle off it. So I'm going to go and do that now. That's what we're going to do, is take the back axle bolts out it while it's sitting up here on the ramps of the truck, so they can be knocked out of the scrapyard, and then we'll move it down a little bit further and go and undo the shock absorber bolts and a couple of other things, so the axle will just fall off tomorrow pretty much. It doesn't matter if it's half hanging in there, we just don't want the axle to fall off it, because I need to go and drag it up the back, so we need to go and do the same on the other side. And then the shocky bolts, and then it's just a matter of snipping through a couple of things, so that'll be alright to come off. There you go, job done. Because the car's already so far stripped, it's just two 8mm bolts to remove the ECU, then I should be able to pull this car loom, well, the car engine loom, through the bulkhead, which will be nice. And we're also going to take the pedal box with these nice pink pedals on it, because that will give us the facility to change another car to a manual gearbox on a Mark II Cavalier or a Mark II Astra. And I'll be taking this adjustable steering column as well, because that'll be a useful spare part to have. So that's that. ECU free, back in the days when Vauxhall put ECUs where they would stay warm and dry. Then we've got this section of plug here. There's one of our green ones. There's usually two. Yeah, I just wonder if I'm going to be able to get this to pull through for the other side now. Should find out. What have we got wrapped round our ECU loom? What is this? It is something. Don't even know what that is. The top's missing off it. Not important. Right. Hey. Now have complete 2 litre 8 valve engine loop. This is a case with a lot of the cars of the era. You'll find somebody has wired an immobiliser into it of some description. Not that that matters for us, but it looks alright. It looks like it's not cut into the engine loom at all. Seems to have been working off the ignition switch, which is that little fella there. But anyway, next job is remove the steering column, I think. Probably wouldn't recommend doing this to any car that you want to put back in the road. Now I'm hoping, since I've got no 256 calipers left, these ones are actually alright. The brake discs don't even look that bad, like they'd probably clean up, but what I'm going to do is snip the brake pipes and then go and remove the servo, which is held in with 2 bolts hiding down there and then inside, because a non-ABS servo and master cylinder is always a handy thing to have. Once that's out the way, I can get into the steering rack and get that all slack and ready to remove. So it's just when it goes into the scrapyard, it doesn't take long to remove all the bits while it's being held up in there by a crane. Now if you look down inside these 2 holes in the bulkhead, you'll not be able to see, but there's like 5mm Allen bolts, and that's what hold this on for the top, and then there's a connection at the brake pedal. So I'm going to go and remove these now. That's a T40 Torx I'm using to take these out. Whatever they're called, that is an Allen bit, but that one didn't put up much of a fight. Some of these can be really tight, seem to have a lot of thread lock on them, but not this one. It would appear, looks like it's going to wind out quite easily. You can see there, that's the first one out. I'll just start the second one. There's plenty of space to work with when you've not got a bonnet or anything else whatsoever in the way, because somebody's so kindly stripped the car for us in advance. Well, the first bolt came out no problem, and it's got like insulating tape or something around it. That's weird. I mean, some of them have got thread lock on them sometimes, but this one here was giving us a bit of hassle, so I'll just give it a bit of a shock and see if that will get it to go, because I don't want it to round out, because it's going. I didn't think I could get an Irwin down into there, but yeah, we're away. That'll be the 2 servo bolts out. Right, this is on the brake pedal, and there's a spring which needs to be pinged off there, and then there's this little circlip which needs pinged off of here, which I've probably got slightly too big a screwdriver for. No, maybe I don't. And then there's a pin that comes out through there, and then your servo should, if you've unbolted it for the front, come out from the other side. I removed some of the sound deadening to get to that other bolt for the servo. It wouldn't come out. It was just sitting spinning, and the reason was it's covered in this like black silicone stuff, so I had to get a screwdriver and like wedge against it and push it up while screwing the end out with a battery gun. But that's it out now. Now this will be like stuck in place with sealant, so we'll give it a go and see if it will come off. There we go. That's your brake servo and master cylinder removed. Okay, so to cut the brake pipes now and get that out of the road. Right, so now that the brake pipes are all chopped, this can lift out the way. Tried to keep a bit of brake pipe on there for whenever it gets fitted into a new car. But the point of this and keeping it is, one, non-ABS braking systems work better than the ones that have ABS, which are often faulty. And I find that you can get failure in the master cylinders as well, so well worth keeping. What I'm going to attempt and do here, which I've not tried before, is to remove the entire pedal box and steering column in one go. We've got 2 bolts up the top for the steering column, 2 have already been removed for us, and then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts which hold the whole pedal assembly in place, and one 13mm pinch bolt which holds the steering column onto the rack, which we'll be having as well. So if I remove that from the rack and remove all these bolts, the whole lot should just come out backwards in one piece. That's what I'm hoping anyway. We'll give it a go. So here, where this cable tie is, that's a pinch bolt that holds the steering column to the steering rack. And if you're going to take the steering column out on its own, a problem you'll encounter is this, which is a security bolt. You see it's got no head on it, which is designed to make some sort of part of the car harder to steal. But I'm just wondering, if I take these bolts out, if this whole assembly is going to come out in one go, which would be handy because we would just use it complete if it was to go into a automatic Astra, for example. Right, that's nice and slack now. That should allow it to slide back off the steering rack. Right, let's go and take these bolts off to the other side. Okay, so as far as you can see, oh, there's still one there. With all those removed, this whole lot should just fall. Right, let's see what happens. Feels like there's something, maybe missed a little sneaky one. There is indeed, there's a sneaky one down below the steering rack hiding in there. So once I've removed that, it should all come out in a winner, I think. Right, complete steering column and pedals removal, take 2. Has it moved any? Well, it has, like. Right, that's halfway that. All it is, it's holding it now, is getting it up and over the knuckle. Hey! That's a whole lot out. Hey! Quite impressed with that. That is all of it. That's your steering wheel, column, and all 3 of your pedals, so handy thing to have. I've also got the entire car load sitting there as well, so maybe pick some of that out, because that's like the original wiring plug that would go into the engine loom. I don't know how far back that all disappears and how easy, if there's a point to taking it. I suppose it's always good to have the right colour wires for things. But anyway, good job, that was an important bit to remove. Aye, all the unwanted stuff needs to get flung in that. That's talking about, if it falls out, it falls out. What might happen? Right, stuff that's needed, not needed. An airflow meter definitely needed. Nothing but a pipe and rubber on it, we'll have that. Black light stainless useful. This is the pile of stuff we're going to keep from the convertible, so it's a bit of an annoyingly large pile of keep stuff, but it's got the centre console and other black dash bits and things, and you just don't know if that could be handy. The van's full, so I'm going to fill the Omega up and take all this stuff down the garage. That's the Astra on the back of the recovery truck, so all I need to do tomorrow is take the power steering rack out it and we can drop the back axle off it, and that'll be it, good to go. Not bad for a Sunday afternoon's work. Right, that's the Omega all packed up with various Mk2 Astra parts. Rather more than I would like to be keeping, but ultimately it should all come in useful. So Kenzo's van's full, it's got the engine and the bonnet and all sorts in it, so the boot of this is full of all the other stuff. Yeah, but my main reasoning behind it is I've now got all the bits to convert an undesirable 3-speed automatic car, which is likely to be much cheaper to buy. So you never know. It could take a year, maybe I'll just sell all the bits, I don't know. Could take a long time for the right car to come up, but certain things are stupid prices now, like a Bellman. A clean Bellman, people are asking stupid money, thousands of pounds for them, but an automatic one you might get for just a couple of £100. And now I've got all the bits to sort it, so that's been my thinking through all this process. If I haven't explained this to you already throughout the course of the video, of course. But aye, we haven't even got round to what I wanted to look at this weekend was the seats in the Omega, because as I mentioned before, the seats don't seem to be wired for heat. So the little buttons in the dash, see that's on at 5 and it lights up, but it doesn't do anything. There's no physical wiring there, so we need to get that sorted out. Oh goodness me, it's slow to pick away with that flywheel. It's actually quite quick, the Omega, once it gets moving, but until it does, beautiful, comfortable car to drive though. But I'd be curious to hear from Omega owners as well about the ratio of your diff, because I'm sitting at 2,500 RPM in top at the moment, and if I take it up to 70, it's at 3,000 RPM, which I don't think is correct really for a car of this size. It should be longer geared. I suppose they've sharpened it down a bit to give it a bit more acceleration, but they could have helped out with a lighter flywheel. So I'd like to know if there's a longer diff available for an Omega, because if I take this up to 80, which I won't because I'm not in the motorway here, and it's also illegal of course, I would be doing 3,500 RPM, which to me feels like the car's revving its head off. Herewith ends the sermon. Let's get down the unit. I've just got to the unit and somehow Kenzo isn't here. I gave him long enough of a head start. I'm not wanting to be sitting about here waiting for him to come down and empty this van out. Oh. Seriously. Well, hey, thank goodness for that. Right, jacket. There we go. There we go. One lovely C20 NE. Right. Right, that's Sunday done. All the bits are off the car. We've put them somewhere in the unit. Anybody wants some launcher side skirts for a Mk2 Astra convertible bits? Well, to be fair, we're throwing a lot of them away, but need to get rid of stuff anyway, so the next cut will be Monday when it's at the scrapyard.